The future doesn't belong to the busiest leader. It belongs to the one who can see it first. Welcome to The Vision Architect, a podcast how bold visions are created, communicated, and turned into reality. I'm your host, Simon Vetter. Welcome to another session of The Vision Architect. I am happy to have a conversation with Jackie Valdez. Jackie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Simon. I'm very happy to be here.
Jackie, I've known her for over 15 years. I use her services. She's an advisor and intuitive counselor. And today we want to talk about intuition and unpack what it is and how can we use it for our own benefit. So Jackie, what is an intuitive counselor and how did you get into this field?
So I've been aware that I have used my intuition since I was really very, very, very young. It's one of those things that you know that you're a little weird or a little odd, but you're not. But there's just certain times when you just seem to kind of understand that something may happen that maybe the people around you aren't so sure that that's going to happen. And so over the years, it taught me to trust myself more instead of like trusting what other people might think of me. And as that started to happen, my intuition started to develop a little bit more because intuition is made up of only two things. One is very, very deep listening to sounds that your ears can't hear. And the other aspect of it is trust. You have to trust your own self. So as I was getting a little older, like getting into my 20s, I really started to realize that I needed to really listen to my own intuition. I lived in Colorado, and when I was 23, I had an intuition to come to California. And I got in my car with a friend of mine, and we had $250 each. We each had a sleeping bag. We each had just a little bit of things that went with in my little Mustang. We drove to California. I never went back. She did. But it was an intuition, even though everyone, my family, my friends, everyone's like, why are you leaving? You know, what's going on? I had no explanation as to why. But I trusted inside that this was, we could say, my destiny, that it was supposed to be, but I really wasn't thinking in those terms. I just felt compelled to go. And then once I was here, I had like little jobs and things like that. And I always did intuitive sessions on the side because people would ask me questions about things. And after a while, it became bigger. And but I still did it as like a side job, so to speak. And then one day I was working and I got fired that day. I was a sign painter. And I got fired that day. And on my way home, my car broke down. So I didn't have a car. I didn't have a job. The week before, I had been separated from my husband. And so, I was like, oh, Lordy, what am I going to do? So I called up a couple of the people that I was doing intuitive sessions with at the time and told them, you can tell some other people, then that's okay now. And then I never got a real job again. So I just started doing what I do, and it started to develop on its own. It wasn't like I had a vision of what it should look like or how to do it. I didn't have anybody to teach me how to do it. So I did have to rely on myself, and I decided if I just kept showing up and doing it, that I would learn more and more about how to do it. And you can tell if people are benefiting from it because of when they come back or what they say. So their feedback taught me how to hone in better to my own intuition and to trust myself more.
Yeah. Let's unpack this concept of intuition. You said it's like that inner trust, like trust ourselves. Mm-hmm. Some people call it inner knowing. Mm-hmm. So there are two aspects. One is stillness and one is deep listening. Can you talk about the two elements and how do we foster that in a way that helps us to, sometimes also it's like listening to our gut.
Yes, absolutely. Well, stillness is one of those things that we have to really practice because I've had a meditation practice for really most of my life at this point because I'm older now, so it is most of my life. But meditation is one of these words where we think it has to look like this, or we have to go to classes and we have to do all these things. But really, meditation is more about, it's made up of concentration. Concentration and meditation are not the same, but deep meditation requires concentration. Concentration requires stillness. So the practice of stillness is teaching ourselves to be able to sit without anticipating, without regretting, being able to be in the moment. And sometimes people have said to me, well, being in the moment, what about the past? What about the future? The moment that you're in right now is all the moments that you've already had accumulated. And the more that whatever's in this moment is going to determine what's going to unfold in the future. So practice of stillness for me is really understanding how breath and our thoughts are the same. So a lot of times when people talk to me about meditation, they say, no, I don't meditate. I have a fast mind. And of course, I'm like, okay, And I say, well, everybody has a fast mind. And they'll tell me, no, I really have a fast mind. But that is a problem. So even race car drivers, they're going fast, but they have to have a centering. There's a concentration that they've developed, a disciplined mind to stay very, very focused. They can't be thinking about what they did yesterday or what they're going to do tomorrow. They have to be very, very focused because what they're doing is very fast. So they have to be super, super slow, so to speak. So that stillness is built from learning to concentrate, to not let our mind run around in all of these different directions. And as we learn to do that, it helps us to be more intuitive, where we begin to sense our own voice, sense what we need to do today, how things seem to unfolding. It helps us to have conversations with other people where we're not so hurried to tell them exactly all these things or to dominate the conversation or to anticipate an outcome that we want them to feel. We're more likely to trust ourselves more and want to be in tune with who we really are rather than how we want to be seen. So intuition really helps us to be able to be more relaxed, to concentrate more, because concentration you need for everything you do. If you're baking a cake, you have to concentrate on it. If you're driving a race car, you have to concentrate on it. No matter what the task is in front of you, the better concentration that you have, the better the outcome is going to be. So to practice stillness is really about also understanding that how we breathe is how we think. So if I'm upset, my breath is going to be, I'm exaggerating so you can see it. If I'm very depressed, my breath may hardly be there. If I'm in a place of practicing stillness, my breath is going to be long and slow. So I tell people it's good to learn proper meditation, so to speak, and different styles of meditation. I encourage everybody to try different kinds of meditation to help them to find the way to still their mind. But ultimately, it comes down to long and slow. Because when we do that, it empties our mind. It empties our mind of our fears, of our anticipations, anxiousness, sadness, and it helps us to be in this moment like the race car driver, being in that moment no matter what's going on in their life. So we want to help ourselves to be more in each moment so that we get the most out of it. So each moment in the future gets better and better. It helps us to be able to visualize more, because a lot of times when people talk about visualization, all they're doing is projecting their desires. I want to do this. I want to be that. I want. And then that makes you anxious. And then your mind starts going faster and faster and faster. And it's about really stillness, and intuition is about becoming.
You said like anticipation, which is, oh, I want to do this. So we create a lot of anticipation.
Yeah.
Now, I work a lot in companies, and one of the most relevant competencies that I help people in companies establish is executive presence or leadership presence. That people feel like when you work with a team, people have that presence. And a colleague of mine has this saying, if you want to develop presence, we need to be present.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And it's about being in a moment, being still, being centered. And so the breath is a way to connect to being in a moment. Mm-hmm. Can you give me some ideas or some tools how to practice that presence and that being in a moment?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? Do you do it with sessions? Do you do it when you do things? How do you do it?
Well, now it's part of my life, so I don't really think about doing it. However, if we haven't practiced it before, it's more about really, first of all, recognizing that you feel your heart pounding or you feel your mind kind of going all over the place, feeling a little jittery or whatever. Seeing that and understanding that that isn't really where you want to come from, because your energy is scattered and you want it to be whole, focused. And presence has to do with that energy being very whole, very present, right? So some things that we can do is, of course, helping ourselves to even just breathe 3 times consciously, long and slow. What that's doing is it takes that concentration to remember that we are all about breath. You can't do anything. The way that you think and the way that you breathe will always be in coordination. They'll always be in coordination. When I sit down with people, I have a little visualization that I do because some of the people that I sit with, I have seen at different times over the years, and they have become familiar to me. However, what I do is I visualize this old-fashioned, I forget what they call them, where in the library they have the little thing that you go to, the card catalog. So I visualize it sort of like that. And when a person comes in, I kind of visualize that this little drawer opening, this little origami flower unfolds, and all their information is in there, like certain things that we've talked about before. Because memory is part of what we're talking about with presence. But I don't think about people after they've gone because it's their information. It's private. So in the beginning, I pull that out and I'll say, oh, let me tell you what I remember. I remember this about you or this about you. And they'll say, whoa, wow. But it's what I want to do is I just want to be able to tell the difference between memory and intuition. So then after we have our session, then I visualize the session going back into the drawer, and in my mind, I actually hear a little click. So then I know their information is safe. I'm not going to be thinking about it. It's private. It belongs to them. But I know it's there and that I'll be able to access it again. So that helps me to trust that I can start where I left off. And I don't have to wonder, okay, what was that we talked about? How's that going to work? How do we move forward? And I also don't want to mix up what we've talked about with what's going on right now. So one of the things with intuition is to help ourselves to know that intuition is not just about telling the future. It's about helping the person to understand what may be going on with them right now so that they can fulfill a better future for themselves. And by doing that, our memories also impact how we are now and who we're becoming. So past, present, and future, the seed of who we are has a past. Every seed with DNA, and that DNA is a record that says, hey, look, I lived before, and here's the record of what I've been. So when that seed goes into the ground, then it can only start where it left off. So no matter how much I visualize it being a cherry tree, it's going to be a peach tree because that's where it started. So we all start from our past. So that's another reason why I have that, is so that I know where this person is coming from and where they are now.
So to full disclosure, I've known Jackie for 15 years and I have intuitive sessions with you. And when I come, it's for you to hold a mirror up to me where I am energetically. And I ask myself, okay, what I experience right now, is a result of all the things I have done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to create a new experience, what can I do now? How can I think differently? How can I act differently? How can I approach things differently to create a different experience? Or if I had a great experience, again, it's a reason what I have done in the past. So
Yeah.
what can I do now to change the future and my experience? Now, you talked about deep listening.
Mm-hmm.
How do we access that skill?
Oh. Okay, I'm going to put words to something that's wordless.
It's hard to describe it in words.
Yes, because it's about silence. And now I'm going to be talking about silence. So it seems kind of ironic. But deep listening is purity. That's the best word I can use. It's about helping ourselves to feel that there's agitation happening because something happened yesterday, because something that somebody just said right now, to feel that energy. And you have to like not just bypass it, but you have to move through it. So this deep listening requires that we don't project, that we don't expect, that we're here as you use the analogy of a mirror. A mirror reflects, it doesn't judge you. You judge yourself. It doesn't tell you, hey, you know, you should wear this. So deep listening is allowing it to move through you. So when I sit with someone, I wait for it to come to me. I wait for it to come to me. I want to feel what's going on. A lot of times I'll feel what people want, but it isn't necessarily going to happen for them because they're too clogged. And we all have that. I'm clogged, they're clogged, we're clogged. And so deep listening is to be able to feel where there's a bump, so to speak, in the stillness. And as you learn to be really, really quiet, again, it's like you have to want to not overtalk. You have to want to really feel the other person. You have to really be empty so that you can receive them. And at the risk of being misunderstood by them, you have to stay in your own place and be really quiet. And honestly, it's very relaxing. It's very relaxing. So when we're in a conversation, sometimes you can have a conversation with somebody and it's just kind of like this, there's this going on. And then when you leave it, that energy is still following you around. But when you're in a state of deep listening, it won't steal your energy. It won't make you feel jittery. It'll make you feel their energy move through you. It'll impact you, but it'll move through you. People tell me, I don't want to be intuitive. I don't want to feel what other people are thinking. I don't want to feel their pain. I look at it like this. I do feel people's pain every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't help it because everybody has pain. The grocery store, anywhere we go. I acknowledge that and I let it move through me. I might feel it more on one day than another day, but that pain is there whether you actually feel it or not, and it does affect us. I affect others, others affect me. I want to be conscious of it. It's like if I'm taking a walk through the forest, yes, I want to know where the bears are,
Mm-hmm.
but I also want to know where the picnic tables and the waterfalls are, and so I can make a better choice. Because without practicing deep listening, letting things move through us, we catch things from other people. So you can go to the grocery store feeling pretty good and come out of there feeling terrible. So with deep listening, then when you get in your car, you're like, oh, wait, I didn't feel like this when I pulled up here. Let me sit for a few moments before I get into traffic and make this even worse. And you feel yourself then because you begin to recognize your own vibration, who you are, what your thoughts are, which are different than other people's thoughts. We're always exchanging thought energy because we don't see it with our eyes. We don't understand that we're being affected by it, but we're affected by germs and we don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same
Well,
thing.
we are energetically very. We have different layers of energy, and there is an energetic vibration, and also a thought is a vibration.
Yes. Yeah.
And so there's this. It's like a radio. You cannot see the waves, but it's there. So our thoughts are like radio waves. There, I see this picture as a comparison when we sit at the mountain lake and it's crystal clear. You can see through it. There, it's stillness. You have clarity of view. And then you throw in a rock, and then all the dust gets up, and it gets cloudy.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like when I have a monkey mind, all the thoughts are in my head, and it's getting cloudy. So I need to let everything settle, so I have clarity of view, a clarity of insight, clarity of thinking. Even when I do coaching with executives, I have to kind of stay still and really put myself in their shoes to really listen to what's going on in their world.
Exactly. And they're in a position where they have a lot of responsibility. And it's very important for them to learn to be more stillness, because responsibility literally weighs on our shoulders. And it can actually make it so that we can't see so clearly when we feel so bound by the feeling of responsibility, or bound by anticipation again of what others may do or may not do. So the more that a person who has a lot of responsibility learns how to be more present, I'm going to use your word right now, what happens is they're more inclined to have intuitive insight in what's going to work for the group, because they'll feel the people, what they're thinking, how they're responding, because we can speak. And sometimes when we speak to somebody who's an authority or in our business life, we want them to hear us in a particular way. But the person that's in charge has to learn to see past how people want to see them and really kind of feel what that person's actually saying to them, so that then they can intuitively feel, I say feel, but sense how to improve the work environment, how to improve things for the other person to feel confident within the workforce so that it's more productive. So the more that we learn to be still, the more productivity that we have, because we do have more clarity of sight. We can see where this is a weak spot over here, this is a strong spot over here, and we can nurture the weaker spots to be more compatible with that is strong and have better balance. So people in leadership, whether it's in a business situation, teaching, politics, whatever it is, mothers and fathers in their home, wherever there's these places of great responsibility, listening is our greatest gift of learning. And we have to be willing to learn every moment and remember that we don't really know everything.
Say that again. This is such an important line. Listening is the gift of learning.
Yes, it is. Listening is how we learn. And it's not only like hearing the words of other people going into us. It's not just about us being heard. It's about listening. Listening, you don't have to be able to hear to listen. If you don't have hearing, you still listen. So
How?
listening, we listen intuitively. Everybody is intuitive. I do not know how this word intuition became to be used only for people who are like me. No, I'm only a person who's aware of it. But everybody has intuition. There isn't a soul on the planet that doesn't. That's why sometimes we're talking to someone and then we go, oh, I see what you're saying. Now I get it. That's intuition. So every time you have an aha moment, every artist, every poet, everybody, when minute you have an aha moment, you're in intuition.
Mm.
Yes, because intuition comes out of the blue. You don't think about it. You can't think about it. You can't force it. You can't make intuition happen. You have to be perfectly still, and you receive it. And you receive it from yourself. It's not like somebody's giving it to you. Every person has it. When I remember being a child and learning how to play the piano, and my teacher always said, "Okay, you have to learn this piece by heart." She didn't say memorize it. Learn it by heart. That's intuition. Because then you're not just learning where the notes are and where the keys are. You're feeling the music. You're interpreting the music through your heart. So intuition teaches us to feel what's behind the words. And then we get to know the person better and we can communicate with them better. So it is how we learn. It is how we teach when we want to. When we want to just tell people what to do, that's different.
Now, you said we have to feel into it, and a feeling is an emotion. And we have positive, negative emotions. And especially when we're in a negative emotion, we're frustrated or annoyed or impatient. How does it affect our ability to be intuitive and have that inner knowing? And how do we shift those emotional states?
Well, this is a really big question, and I love it. I consider myself to be quite the emotional being. I probably cry every single day. And I don't mean I'm like weeping in my hands, but people touch me because I sit with people who are in pain a lot. People going through breakups or separations and all the different kinds of things that people go through. And it touches me. So over the years, I've learned to let it move through me, where I know it's not mine. It belongs to the other person. So I have empathy or compassion for what they're feeling. And as that happens, it teaches me to have more empathy and more compassion for my own well-being. So I'm not just pushing my pain away and go, "Oh, get over it. Just get over it." I'm allowing myself to actually go, "Oh yeah, you do feel this way, but it's all right. It's all right." And sometimes I just tell myself, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, until I actually can come back to my center. So emotions, yes, we feel emotions, but we have to learn mindfulness, which mindfulness is a beautiful word. It's kind of a fancy word that really means self-control. So controlling our emotions doesn't mean this, not at all. It means really being open, flexible, and letting it move through you. When you feel anger, it starts out as I feel anger like I feel it just kind of buzz around me, or somebody's really angry around me. It feels like it's hurting my skin a little bit. So when I start to feel that, I know that I can catch that from them. So whether I'm projecting it, whether I'm doing it, or they're projecting it onto me, anger is one of those things that you can feel in the grocery line.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll actually go to another line because of that, because you can really feel it and you can catch it. Sadness, all of our emotions are contagious. And when we start to really understand that more, then we want to take care of ourselves better, just like we would want to take care of our immune system. So emotions are something that we have to learn to become aware of before they become full blown. So sadness of other people, being compassionate, understanding them. We never want to be afraid to feel somebody else's pain. Know that it belongs to them, but you're feeling it, and it teaches you that we all feel pain exactly the same. Pain is pain, regardless of the circumstances.
And it's part of being human being.
Yes. Yeah, and it teaches us that we've gone a little bit too far. Because pain always says, you've gone too far. You start to feel pain when the fire is too hot. You've gone too far.
When do we know it's when we take responsibility for our own things, our own emotions, and when do we protect ourselves or let that energy from other people move through us? How do we distinguish that?
Discernment. So discernment is, first we have to learn to discern, is this really mine? So that's why sometimes if I go someplace and I feel pretty good, and on my return home, I'm not feeling so good, I know it's my interaction with other people, but I don't go looking to see who it is, because it really doesn't matter. What matters is that I've been affected by it. So then I help myself to sit quietly. One of the So every the first Sunday of the month, we have a first Sunday session, and it's called Word of the Month. And I always give a virtue and a saboteur to meditate on. Meditate on means to put it in your mind and practice the virtue. So this month, it is the word service.
Mm-hmm.
And the saboteur is greed. Now, what we do with that is that we put that word into our mind and go, okay, today it's service. I am service. I am service to myself. I am being of good service to other people. We're keeping it in mind. What happens is focusing on something really positive helps you to learn to see it, because you're doing it consciously. All of a sudden you'll see the word somewhere, or somebody will say the word to you, and you become very aware of that. And that's to help us to go from feeling like we're hoarding, like we're not enough, always more and more and more. Tell me how good I am. Tell me this, tell me that. Did you say thank you to me when I gave that to you? Instead of looking for that, because that's like hoarding or being greedy. We don't really use that word except for about money, but it's true. We do want so much from others. But when we're giving service, it means that we give and then we forget that we gave. We don't come back and say, I did this for you, and I did that for you, and I did this for you, and I did this for you. Did you? Then why is it coming back to me in this way? So what we're doing is we're teaching ourselves to have mantras, chanting, affirmations, to help us to remember that words are so important. Because I hear people say, words don't matter. They don't matter. Oh my gosh, that's all we have to reflect our thoughts. Mm-hmm. So being aware of our words and how we speak, consciously helping ourselves to speak in the way that we really want to feel, makes us actually be that. We become that. So words are very, very important. We get so used to going, oh, that's just that, blah, blah, blah. And we speak in really not so flattering ways. But when we update ourselves and we consciously find a way to speak positively to someone, we're conscious that we could hurt them, that we could offend them, that we could cause conflict between us, we're going to look for a way inside of ourselves to get past that emotion of anger. We have to acknowledge that we have it and not feel guilty that we have it, because that'll make it even worse. But once you acknowledge that and you change how you're feeling and by your words, because you're consciously using your words and saying, so I just wanted to talk about what we were talked about yesterday. And that hurt me, but I'm not saying that you did this on purpose, but I did want you to know how that felt. Mm-hmm. So when we do that, it's to help us to know that we're really feeling that way. That we're feeling like, gosh, I know they didn't really realize how much that hurt. And you want to help yourself and to help them. So we have to be very aware of our words and make sure that they're reflecting how we feel. And then that will change our emotion. It changes it.
And words are powerful because they are an extension of what we think.
Yes.
And an extension of our intention.
Yes. Yes.
And so how do we intentionally approach an issue or a problem or a project? It starts with our thinking, and then it gets expressed through our words.
Yes.
And then we got to feel it to make sure the energy is in alignment.
Exactly. So, like in business, you may have a really, you might feel inspired, which is your intuition. Inspiration is intuition. You feel inspired with a new idea, and you know you're going to be meeting with your team today. So you feel inspired. You wake up and you're like, "Oh, I have this idea. I really want to present it," And then you get in there, and there's somebody who says something that kind of distracts you because it seems a little hostile in some way. So you have to like help yourself in that moment. Awareness first. In order to make a change, we have to be aware first. Oh, I had an inspiration, but now I feel a little distracted because I want to tell this person, but da, 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 da. And we have to make that decision in a moment, in that moment of awareness. No, let it be. And then help yourself to find your words. You have to find your words. We tell that to children. Find your words. And we're just big children. Find your words to express really that inspiration that you had this morning, whatever that may be. So it takes inner strength. We have to be very strong to be very kind. It's easy to be bad. It's easy to malign. It's easy to gossip. It's easy to do all of these things. But kindness, deep inspiration, to follow deep philosophy, to be still requires inner strength, and that's what is really good for business. Is for us to learn to be this way, so that the business is always doing good for their clients or their customers. It's not just about putting it out, because we do get into that feeling of a rut. Just do it, just do it, just do it. But the more that there's awareness, there's more authenticity of humanity.
Yeah.
And that's a much better way to make a living.
What I see that myself. I got so much projects, tasks, and I got this client, that, and I got a full schedule. What tips do you have to integrate moments of stillness and deep listening and intuition into a busy schedule?
Oh, okay. So practicing while you're doing your daily routine. So driving is one of the things that people do almost every day. A lot of people drive every single day. So how do we do it when we're driving? Because, it can be very frustrating. There's all kinds of things happen when we're driving. I don't recommend meditating while you're driving. However, it's the practice of relaxing. Because when you're driving, you can feel yourself doing this. And what you want to do is be aware of it. Oh, okay. Shh, shh, shh. I tell myself to come back into that center, because it'll make me more responsible. It'll make me have more calmness, so that when I arrive where I do, I'm much more prepared to start. So if you're, maybe you like to cook or you like to bake or something like that, everybody eats. And so if you're making your dinner, how are you making your dinner? Are you cutting your carrots like this? This is what's happening. So remember, the energy in your mind moves through your hands. Everything that you touch leaves energy, leaves a mark of energy. So what's in our minds is we're cutting those carrots. It can be very, very negative, and now we're consuming it again.
How do we do that when we're in a meeting and there's 10 people and there's a lot of interactions, a lot of thoughts and energy? How do we practice being present?
So what I'm going to tell you is going to sound really simple, but think of it as simplistic rather than simple. First thing that I like to do is to be aware of my feet. I practiced Kung Fu. I took Kung Fu lessons for 22 years. And this is where I learned this from, is being aware where your feet are at all times. So when you're in a meeting and maybe the energy is just a little kind of scattered or whatever it may be, first thing you want to always do is feel your feet. As you feel your feet, you're not just feeling from here up, because when we get irritable or we get anxious or anything like that, we lose contact with the rest of our body.
And we're not grounded,
That's
literally.
right. Literally. So when you feel your feet, there is this groundedness of you staying in your body instead of getting too caught up with the energy of everybody else. And so as you stay grounded and focused, what it does is it moves from you out to the others and it influences them to be able to do the same. But feeling your feet, putting your tongue on the roof of your mouth, it makes it so you don't talk out of turn. But when you put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, it forces you to breathe through your nose, which forces you to breathe more deeply. So 2 things: tongue on the roof of your mouth, feet. Wiggle your toes. Wiggle your toes. You will ground yourself. You'll remember, sit in your body. Be here. You're safe. All is well. This is what's in front of you. It's just what you're dealing with right now. You're well. You're good. All is well.
I love this concept.
Oh, you do?
Because the feet is grounding, feeling safe, having a base, feeling secure. And when we put the tongue on up, then we connect to the moment because we have to breathe through our nose. So we become more present, more centered.
Yes.
And we can do this anytime in a meeting.
Exactly. It's so simple. It's just so simple, that we just overlook it because, if you're sitting there and everybody's just kind of agitated a little bit because there's a deadline and there's all these things that are happening, everybody just gets kind of amped up and nobody remembers that they have feet.
I was on a Zoom call with a group and I got impatient and I start tuning out and I start to open up emails and responding and I was not present anymore. So this is a great way to practice.
Yeah, because that keeps you focused and you're helping yourself just to stay there and to bear it out. So you're teaching yourself to bear it out with grace and dignity. A moment that's hard to, because the energy that's coming from other people can make us want to resist. And so we're going to distract ourselves in some way. But when you learn to bear it out, it'll move through you. And when you're finished, you won't feel so tired.
Any other tools or recommendations that we can apply in our life that is overwhelmed with stuff?
I think one of the things to remember is to pay attention to what you're really thinking, because quite often we're thinking the very worst. I talk to people about worst case scenarios so much I just call them WCS because we all have these worst case scenarios floating through our mind and we're visualizing the worst case scenario. And we don't think that matters. Sometimes
it does matter.
It does.
It does matter.
It does, because when people talk about visualizing, and they go, okay, I'm visualizing this. But if the worst case scenario is visualized far more than the best case scenario, this is what you're going to be dealing with. So,
and we become good at attracting what we don't want, the worst case scenario.
Precisely.
So we can turn this around. It's okay, what is the best case scenario? And start visualizing it and understanding.
Exactly. Visualizing it and having
difference.
Like the word of the month. You want to have a word or a mantra or affirmations. I am at peace. I am at peace. If peace were easy, we'd all have it. There wouldn't be any more wars. Peace is something that we have to practice. And the more we practice it, we understand that it is not neutrality. No, it is inner strength. It is self-control.
Yeah. Peace with ourselves.
That's right.
Be at peace with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That requires calmness and composure and
awareness.
Going back to stillness and deep listening and
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and when each person starts to be more responsible for their state of peace, we have world peace. When people say, I want to be a peacemaker, well, are you at peace with yourself? Be at peace with yourself. It's like helping yourself not to be so judgmental of yourself. Because the more we tell ourselves how bad we did and all of these bad things, we're more likely to see that in others. And then it just creates more negativity everywhere. But the more we become more in a place of awareness, that we don't have to speak to ourselves in such a bad way. We don't have to put ourselves down. We don't have to see ourselves as horrible. And we don't have to pump ourselves up and go, yeah, you're the greatest. You're the greatest.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to happen that way either.
I have this concept that we have thoughts, 100 thoughts every minute or more. I want to be conscious and aware of my thinking, my thought. And I ask myself, what I think right now, is that empowering me? Does it energize me? Does it get me closer where I really want to? Or does it limiting me? Does it take energy away? Does it move me away from where I go?
Oh, I love that.
And so I don't say good or bad or negative or positive. It's like, does it empower me, energize me, or does it limit me? And then in that moment, I can always have the power to change my thought.
That's right.
It's okay, good. If I am critical of myself, or I beat myself up, or why did I do this? Or then I say, okay, good. I can change that thought. It's okay, good. What can I shift to align my thought about what I more want?
Exactly. I love the way you worded that. That was really, really good. It's very thoughtful, actually. So you're asking yourself a question, which you're going to want to respond. Well, yeah, why am I doing that? Well, it doesn't matter. I am doing that, and let me not do that. And
Before we finish, any last advice for the listeners, how we can use this concept of intuition in an effective way in our lives?
Be interested. Be interested in what other people actually are thinking and saying to you. Because as you learn to listen to yourself and your words, it'll help you to actually want to listen to what they're actually saying and how they're saying it. And you'll hear people put themselves down. You'll hear them do all kinds of things, and you'll be like, oh, I do that. And we can change ourselves by learning to listen more deeply and not just be intent on making those quick assumptions about somebody.
Goes back to listening is the gift of learning.
Yes.
And it's a gift of receiving. It's a very powerful concept. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Jackie, where can we find you?
Oh, I'm at saintsintraining.com.
Very good. I attend her first month Sunday sessions, and I always get something out of it. So if you're interested, check out her website, Saints in Training. You will see a link in the show notes. Jackie, thank you so much for our discussions today. It's always a gift to be with you, and be well and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You be well also. Bye.
Thank you for listening. I am Simon Vetter, and you have been listening to The Vision Architect. If this episode sparked new ideas, share it with someone you care. Until next time, keep imagining the future you want to create and start building it.